Ketua Pengarah Pusat Governance Integriti dan Anti Rasuah Nasional Tan Sri Abu Kasim Muhammad mendakwa kegiatan rasuah terbesar dalam negara dipercayai melibatkan ahli politik selain berlaku dalam kalangan pengurusan parti politik sendiri.
It is a crime in value whether money, favor or something value is promised. To give into or taken from an individual or corporation in attempt to sway his or its views, opinions or decisions. Please do not make any mistakes in your organization because bribery it is strictly prohibits. Every organization must have anti-corruption policy and anti-bribery policy. Bribery can be in forms such as facilitates payments, donations, business gifts and others. In principle, Sharia, Islamic law, accepts reasonable disagreement in interpretation provided it is clear of bias and does not pursue questionable objectives. Official corruption has undoubtedly become the bane of good governance in many present-day Muslim countries, Malaysia included. Islamic history also records instances of anti-corruption measures taken by the government. The second caliph, Umar al-Khattab, fought bribery and corruption of officials through expropriation of personal wealth accumulated during the tenure of office.
Malaysia's position in the Global Corruption Perceptions Index, CPI, for 2020 fell to 57th from 51st in 2019. Out of 180 countries, Malaysia recorded a score of 51 compared to a score of 53% in the previous year. The fall in Malaysia's CPI position for 2020 may be influenced by several factors, mainly due to the stalled reform of government institutions. Among them stems from the failure of the previous government and the current government to table and approve the political fund bill. As a result, politics money is still rampant during elections. Apart from that, it is also influenced by the acquittal or release of court cases, which is not the same as the acquittal of high-profile personalities. In some corruption cases such as involving Riza Aziz, Tan Sri Musa Aman and Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansur. The next factor is due to limited access to information of public interest. Information on the matter should not be placed under the clause of the agreement without disclosure unless it affects national security. Examples of undisclosed information relate to compensation for the termination of the high-speed rail (HSR) project. The actual compensation paid by Goldman Sachs in the 1MDB case is still unknown. Continued abuse of power and corruption by enforcement agencies also contributed to the fall in Malaysia's CPI. For example, despite the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's (MACC) crackdown on petty corruption in the Immigration Department, bribery and fraudulent visa issuance remain an ongoing problem.
According to the Code of Ethics, one of the important principles in the politician is integrity, which is to practice values of honesty, sincerity and integrity in all matters. Bribery is one of the archetypal examples of a corporation engaged in unethical behavior. A few years ago, Johor Port Deputy Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Hanafi Abu Mansur was charged in the Sessions Court with 2 counts of corruption, involving projects worth $2.7 million. He pleaded guilty to an alternative charge under Section 165 of the Penal Code and was fined $30,000, in default 3 months jail, by the Sessions Court for accepting a bribe of $25,000. He only needed to pay the fine to be free. By reinforcing this clause, anyone found guilty will face a jail sentence of not less than 14 days to a maximum of 20 years.
The result was the empowerment of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, and its 2009 Act which addressed corruption on both the political and private sector level.
The Parliament's subsequent amendment, Section 17A, was added in 2018, which likened the legislation to the UK Bribery Act, but added a parallel element of personal criminal liability in corporate bribery cases.
Corruption has damaging effects on the country at large as well as on its people, as discussed by many economists. Number 1. Economic growth. Corruption also has a negative influence on the economic growth and development of any nation. That causes distortion and hampers efficiency in allocating resources through free market forces. thereby resulting in poor economic growth and development. Corruption reduces growth in the economy by discouraging the impetus for investment in the country and by distorting the composition of government expenditure. Number 2. Effects on domestic and foreign investment. Corruption is a kind of tax, increasing the cost of production and affecting the living standards of citizens. Bribes may have to be offered prior to any investment and in negotiating the establishment of an enterprise, while large payment is often made in the course of setting up a business. Investors are often asked to pay bribes before commencing the business.
The corruption that has infiltrated our social life is difficult to eradicate. In fact, it can only be reduced or minimized, and it is unlikely to be completely eliminated. So far, no nation has achieved success in this regard. Some of the Number 1 Anti-Corruption Act in 1997. Number 2 Training and Awareness Procedure. Number 3 Integrity Surveys. Number 4 Municipal and Sub-National Integrity Workshops. Number 5 National Integrity Workshops.